Hello. I'm going to have to switch and go into my room and plug in, I think, because I don't have a lot of battery power left. You know what? I might as well just do that right now. So I don't have to move around like in the middle of it. So I'll just go in there and plug in right now. I still have, hi KAYSI. Yeah, I'm just going to be in here and do it because it's, then I can plug in and not have to worry about things. That'll just be better. KAYSI, let me invite you to come up. Okay, you should get in the invite, KAYSI, to come up. Hello? Why is my phone not charging? There we go. Hello? You guys, hi Carrie, if you guys can let's get some more people here. Let's like this. Let's share. We want as many people as possible hearing this interview with KAYSI. I appreciate you doing this, KAYSI. So if you guys would like and share this, that would be awesome. I've got my mods in here. I see Brett is in here. I think I've seen a couple other mods who are in here as well. Hello, KAYSI. How are you?
Good. How are y'all?
Good. I love that picture behind you.
One of my favorites.
I know, it's so pretty. Yeah, you guys, hello, the real me. Hello, I'm seeing people. We're going to give it a couple more minutes for the people to join. I was late, a little bit late, because the Buffalo Bills had a very big game today against the Kansas City Chiefs, Jesus. And hello, Megan. We actually won. I literally can't believe it. It came down to like I didn't think for sure we were going to even have it be like that close of a game. So I was like, yeah, we can start this. We can start it at, no problem. We'll start it right at 8:00. And I was like, oh my God, they're actually like, they could go into overtime. What am I going to do? Like, do I postpone the interview? Like what, cause I'm a freak when it comes to like, all things Buffalo Bills, but they didn't go, hi Nora. They did not go into overtime and they won by 3 points. So yeah, we still have our hopes alive. We could still go to the playoffs, all the good things. So next week we play each other, Megan. Oh God, next week. It's like, wow, big week. I know, golly, that was a big deal. So, but yeah, so that's why I was a couple minutes late, because I was like, oh my God, I got to get my Buffalo Bills look off and like some sort of a little bit of a different, like a little bit of a professional look on. So that's why I was like a few minutes late. So I put on my little like cute sort of have yourself a merry little Christmas, because I can only wear this sweatshirt like once in a blue moon. So yes, I understand that KAYSI is greater than the Buffalo Bills. I get that, but I wanted to wait and just give it a couple more minutes to see if anybody else was going to join and see, because we did, yes, KAYSI, you are much more important than the Buffalo Bills. Of course you are. But hey, Sophia, just wanted to give it just a couple more minutes and see. KAYSI Smirk tells it all. I know, exactly. See if anybody else joins. We've got about 110 people in here. I shared this quite a bit. I know, KAYSI, I don't know if I didn't get a chance to look at your Facebook. I know you've shared it last time. I've got a lot of good feedback from the last time we did it.
Oh yeah, it was so helpful. You have no idea how helpful it was for us.
I'm so glad. And I really, I'm not kidding when I say that if this does go to trial, I'm down there. I'm going to cover it, because I just feel like it's such an important, I just feel like it's such an important case, and you all deserve justice, which is thank you for the love. All right, well, let's get started, you guys. Because it is 8:00. I do like to keep these to an hour, but if things are flowing and you don't mind, KAYSI, and questions are coming, and thank you, Angela. I would love to come to Tippah County. I've been in Mississippi once for a military project, and that's really it. So yes. Okay, Ann. So what I like to do in these, you guys have seen me do these interviews before, I hope. Yes, ask your questions, but we like to hold the questions sort of till the end, unless one pops up that is relevant to that, to what we're talking about. But we will get to every single question. I promise you guys that for sure. So hopefully you guys have had the opportunity to watch some of the videos that I did on Kirby Carpenter. I will give you a very high level overview on the Kirby Carpenter case in case you have not watch those videos, but I really, really, really highly suggest that you go back and watch, because I'm not I'm not going to do it justice. But last year, November 30th, well, actually, it's so ironic that they were arrested this November 30th, but actually it was December 2nd. Kirby's body was found shot in the backyard of his house. His body was found by his then girlfriend, the mother of his baby, Enola, who was only 4 months old at the time. She had not seen him for 2 days since November 30th, but did not report him missing until that Friday. Mind you, they lived together, okay? His truck was in the yard and parked there, and she did not report him missing for 2 days. There is so much that goes into this, including the fact that Caitlin, his girlfriend at the time, and her parents, actually, as soon as Kirby's funeral was over, they basically took everything out of his safe, which was lots of gold and silver. He was an entrepreneur. He was a wealthy man. He worked very hard and took off with the baby and went across country. Said they were going to Pennsylvania for the holidays, and that was it. They never saw, they never saw the baby. They never saw her for her 1-year birthday, nothing. And there was a lot of suspicions around Caitlin and her parents, particularly her father, that they were the ones who did shoot Kirby. And while KAYSI and her family never came out and said, yes, we think that Caitlin did do this, lots of people, including me, said we do think that Caitlin and her family do that, because we can say that. So just November 30th, the 1-year anniversary of Kirby's death, police actually did arrest Caitlin and her parents for capital murder charges, which means it's like bigger than first-degree murder. It means they can face the death penalty, which if you're not pro death penalty, even if you're not pro capital punishment, this case is such a case that should have, the death penalty. Per Cindy. This is all per Cindy, alleged, all for capital, all the things we got to say for TikTok, alleged, educational purposes, all the good things. So she was in Pennsylvania. Her parents were in Virginia. Last I heard, she was back in Mississippi. I don't know if her parents were yet. And that's sort of where we stand right now. So KAYSI did an interview with me back August, which I was so grateful for. And now she's going to sort of fill us in on what's going on, where Enola is, what the family is feeling, all the things. So KAYSI, thank you so much for being here again. I'm so glad that you have chosen to speak with me again.
Thank you for asking me to be with you again. I kind of went back and forth about whether or not to speak publicly. And I thought, you all have been behind us all the way. So I wanted to, talk to y'all and tell you what I can. Of course, there's some things that we can't talk about. I've had a million people ask me, what was the smoking gun? What got them? We don't know. I'm not going to be able to tell that tonight because we don't know as a family. We do know that the investigators worked extremely hard. I think at the time that I spoke with you last, we were kind of feeling like we were stuck. Like the investigation was stuck. It wasn't moving forward. And I did the interview with you, and we had amazing outreach with that. And you would not believe the number of people that reached out to us that knew the Spences, that told us very interesting information about the Spences. People that reached out offering help in all different kinds of ways. People that have access to things that our investigators did not have access to, that have reached out to the investigators, and they have utilized some of those things. So the interview was actually beneficial in more ways than you know.
Awesome.
So I said, investigation wise, we don't know what the smoking gun was. We know they've been working, for months on these things. And we knew that they had discovered some new information, and we knew that they had enough information that they were taking it to the DA, and that it was going to, go before a judge and get possibly charges. So we did not know when that was going to happen. And when it did, of course, we were super excited that it had. Last year has been just absolutely, I don't even know how to describe it. And, if you've never been in that position, and I pray that none of you ever are, there's no way to prepare for it. And I feel like we just did the best we knew to do to try to get justice for Kirby. I think that it's kind of, I don't even know how to explain it, but the fact that for the last year I've not been able to publicly say I think they're guilty, I think that she did this. I have tried my best to not make accusations, to not pinpoint and basically, accuse them of doing this. Although we had all the red flags that lined up, but they're in jail for capital murder. And I can now say that Jeff and Karen and Caitlin Spence are the people that I think killed my brother. And, there's just something about being able to say that publicly and to know that they're sitting behind bars tonight that gives our family a sense of, security. When I started speaking out on the Justice for Kirby page and interviewed with you and, talked to several people about this very publicly, my family, they were concerned about me. They were like, you're kind of putting a target on your back. And, we're in the South and we live in a small town and everybody looks out for everybody for the most part. And I've never been afraid. I've never been scared to go outside, at night and walk my dogs. It's never bothered me. And then after this happened, I was, to the point that I didn't go anywhere without, protection with me. We put up security cameras and things like that. And, just always feeling like we had to look over our shoulder. And, I feel like I asked myself why Kirby so many times when this happened. And I feel like it's because we're the family that stopped it so that they can't do this to anyone else. That's just how I feel. So it's, I had an expectation of how I'd feel when they finally were arrested and were behind bars. And it's been not really the same as what I expected. It just opened up a whole new set of emotions and a new set of worries and that kind of thing. But it is nice to know that our concerns were heard and, the investigators dug into every single thing that we told them we felt like they needed to dig into, and they ended up coming to the same conclusion that we all suspected. And, I feel like, people told me so many times throughout all of this, Kirby's smiling down on y'all. Y'all are doing him good. And my husband actually told me yesterday, he was like, so many people have said that Kirby's so proud of you. He was like, you've really made your brother proud. And, that makes my heart smile.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's no doubt. I mean, you guys were from day one. I was watching the videos that you guys did from literally from day one, walking up to the spot saying, like, how could she have carried a baby? Just questioning things from day one, putting pressure on the story. And I truly do believe this is one of the great things about social media is that pressure that you can put on investigators to say, like, okay, let's not let this case go cold. And I think you guys absolutely, without a doubt, did that. Well, you said that you were a little bit nervous, like when this happened, and you had cameras and all the things. Why was that? What made you guys nervous?
Because I felt like they killed Kirby, and I felt like, especially at the point that we started speaking out about our suspicions and about basically everything that we shared was factual. But it led pretty much everyone that heard Kirby's story to believe that they were guilty. Everybody started questioning the same things we were questioning. And, in my mind, I was thinking they killed Kirby. Who's to say they won't do it again, or try to shut us up or, it's just when I look back at this whole incident, it took a lot of things from us, mainly Kirby. But it also took away our sense of security. One of the main things that I have personally struggled with is I have a 6-year-old child, and she and Kirby's little boy Towns are extremely close, and I feel like that this took away some of their innocence. I should not have had to tell my child, who was 5 at the time, that somebody killed her uncle. That's probably been one of the hardest things about this whole situation, other than losing Kirby, is that, our kids had to learn that, there's evil in this world. And, I wanted to protect her from that for as long as I could. And not only is there evil in this world, but sometimes people that love you are the ones that hurt you, or people that you think a lot of are not really the people that you think they are. And a child that's 5 or 6 years old shouldn't have to learn that.
No, that's a super hard lesson to learn. I mean, on the flip side of the coin, though, you're also showing your daughter that you're resilient and that you are a fighter. And, you're showing her like, hey, listen, we're fighting for Uncle Kirby, and we're not. And I think that is, if you're going to look at, that's a little bit of a positive. If anything comes out of this, you're showing your daughter like, we're doing this for Uncle Kirby, and we're not going to sit back and wait. We're going to make sure that there's justice for him. And I think that's something that you can be really proud of, for sure. Absolutely, for sure. So, there's been a lot of questions, first of all, and I think one of them, besides you said the smoking gun, which totally understand why, there's a lot of questions about that, because doing research on this, there are a lot of police agencies involved, including the United States Marshals were involved.
Yeah. So the investigation, started out being handled by the Tippah County Sheriff's Department here in town. And of course, they're still involved. The Mississippi Bureau of Investigation got involved. They were actually on scene when it happened, and I'm sure that they, followed up after that time, but I think they had kind of fallen off the map, or maybe just wasn't as involved. I'm not sure exactly why that was for a while, but it was actually right after our interview. I had an investigator reach out to me. I actually woke up in the middle of the night one night, and he had sent me a message, and he said, I wanted to let you know that I'm with the NBI, and your brother's case will not be a cold case. He said, I know that that is your and your family's concern. And he said, I am telling you now that I'm opening a new case file on this tomorrow. And he said, I'm going to do everything within my power to try to get y'all answers. He said, I can't promise that we'll, get those for you. He said, but I can promise you that I'll try. And from that day forward, I feel like, at least a couple times a week, we were speaking with him. Every single thing that he told us that he was going to follow up on, he followed up and he got back with us on. I would say that through this time, I've made the comment several times that I have faith that this is going to be solved, because I can't not have faith that it's going to be solved. Because I just couldn't accept it. I was not going to accept that it wouldn't be solved. And I feel like that the right investigators were just, I think that God placed the people in the path of this investigation that needed to be there. So yes, the Tippah County Sheriff's Department, the NBI, and then of course, being that she was in Pennsylvania and her parents were in Virginia, there were sheriff's offices in both of those states involved, and then of course the U.S. Marshals.
Yeah, so there are a lot of people working behind the scenes, because I was getting DMs literally weekly, several weekly, people like, what's going on with the Kirby Carpenter case? So many people were vested in this. And, I just had to keep saying, I know that I don't have an update, but I knew like people, they're working behind the scenes. Like this case is it's not, things are happening, believe me. So besides the smoking gun, the main question that I keep getting is, where is Enola? Where's the baby?
So right now, it's our understanding that Enola is with some of Kate's family. We had initially been told that at the point that they were arrested, that she would probably be placed into CPS or CYS custody. It's called different things, different places. And then at that point, of course, we would be able to go and get her. That's not what happened. Caitlin was arrested at her grandmother's home. And it's our understanding, and we haven't been told this by anyone officially, but it's our understanding that Enola was left in the care of Caitlin's grandmother, and has since moved into the care of another family member of Caitlin's. And Caitlin has an aunt and uncle who actually has filed for custody. But we are also in the works of doing everything that we can to get her back here with us. I can't really go into great detail on that, but we do have counsel, and that's about all I can say. Because, Enola, she needs to be here with us. She needs to be able to learn that her daddy loved her. She needs to be able to learn morals and values, and she does not need to be raised by people who killed her father or supported people that killed her father in any kind of way. And that's just kind of how we feel, that she will, we feel like she's with people that supported her father's death.
Yeah, I'll be honest, like, I know you can't say it, and so I will say it loud and clear. That's ridiculous. Like, I to be with the grandparents, so that's the parent of one of the murderer and the grandparent of one of the murders, That does not make any sense to me at all. She should be with your side of the family. And also, I don't like the fact that they're moving her around so much. She might be with an aunt and uncle. She might be with a grandparent. She might be with, no, no, that is not okay. And so, is there, what's the timeline? Like, what are they saying that this could be a long drawn out process? Because I know grandparents do have, like, they can fight for custodial rights or even
Like,
just visitation rights.
right. Well, and ideally, the person that has the most legal rights to a child, um, for a child that does not have a living father and mother, or for some reason they're like in this circumstance, her father's deceased, her mother is incarcerated. It's our understanding that a grandparent has the next most right to a child. And we do have an attorney that's working on that for us. Um, we're hoping that it happens quickly. Of course, I mean, we don't know that it will. We actually had plans in place and was thinking that probably within the next week she would be here with us. And then we found out that Caitlin had an aunt and uncle who filed for custody, and that it was signed by a judge. So we're going to have to go about it a little different route than we initially took. But we didn't give up fighting to have someone arrested for Kirby's death, and we're not going to give up fighting to have Enola where she should be.
Absolutely. And I don't see you guys doing that at all. Like, I know you guys are going to fight for her. And if there's anything, obviously, that myself or any of the followers can do to support you guys, you know that we will, because that's just wrong. Like, I'm just going to say it. Like, that is just completely wrong. She shouldn't be with her great grandparents or obviously the other grandparents who have just been arrested for capital murder. And you're absolutely right, Nurse KTH. Like, why the hell would the judge do that? Like, that to me is completely, it makes zero sense to me. Like, it's mind boggling.
And actually, in order for that to happen, they're supposed to notify anyone else who has more legal right to a child that there is a custody hearing. And so I think that things were kind of done under the table that shouldn't have been done. That's my opinion. I'm obviously not a lawyer, I'm a nurse. But that's something that's going to be looked into as well, because they know how to contact us. The people who have Enola, who legally have custody of her at this time, they know very well how to contact us. I have proof that they have contacted me several times, so they could have easily reached us and let us know. They also have our addresses, that kind of thing. So it's, we'll do what we have to do to fight for Enola. She should be here. She has a brother here,
Yep.
He asks about his little sister all the time. He talks about her. He drew a picture of her the other day. He was here this weekend actually with us. And we want them to be able to be raised to have a relationship.
And KAYSI, I hate to even ask you this question, but I feel like I need to clear it up because I've had several people post on my posts that saying that Kirby, there's like a DNA test going on. Kirby wasn't even the father. That's why they're not even doing all of this. And I just feel like if anyone can clear up Kirby's name, because I got very like protective of you guys when this person kept posting. And so I want you to clear that up or tell us the truth.
Okay, so because of the circumstances of Kirby's death, the investigators obviously have to look at every potential motive. And during this investigation and during the discussion of all potential motives, because of some of the things that was found, actually, there were some messages found in Kirby's phone where he was making accusations toward Kate that maybe she had been unfaithful. That was an avenue that the investigators felt like they needed to possibly look into, which of course made us all think, well, could that be another potential motive? Could it have been that Enola wasn't Kirby's? We did not make those accusations, but like I said, it is something that needed to be looked into. Also, in the matter of his estate being as large as what it is, and there is another child involved, because of that, the court actually ordered DNA testing, and that actually only happened within the last couple weeks, on both of his children. And it's just to make sure that both of them are legal rightful heirs. So we never tried to accuse and say that Enola didn't belong to Kirby, but there was DNA testing requested, and those are the reasons.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was like. I'm not denying. I'm just saying like that's kind of where I was going. Like, it just frustrates me when I see people. I mean, and I know that I'm sure she has people who are friends with her that are like going to, but that's why I was like, I'm just going to have KC sort of clear this up because it's ridiculous. Um, but yeah, I mean, so that's what I was going to ask because everybody, what Rhonda just posted, his ex wasn't all of his insurance, all of his everything that he had will go to those two children of his, correct?
Yes. We actually started liquidating his assets probably sooner than it had to be done. We were encouraged to do so or advised to do so by legal counsel. So everything of his estate has been almost auctioned off. There's actually an auction online currently for some of his precious metals and coins and those kind of things. And I think there's one more to go. But every dime of that will go into trust for the children. So, they'll be able to have that and, the moms can, well, the mom of towns and whoever ends up being over Enola can petition the court for things if they need those as they grow up. And otherwise, when they turn 21, the kids will get those things. And that's how it should be. I mean, Kirby, he was always so clear that everything that he did for his children. So, that's what should happen. The children should get all of that.
Absolutely. But we know though that they cleared out a lot of stuff of Kirby's right after the funeral. Has any of that been recovered? Did you guys, where's that?
We're not sure. I know that there are lots of search warrants that have been done or are in the process of being done to see what they can possibly locate, or there may have been things already located. That's not something that's been shared with us yet. But again, it's multiple states involved. There's things going on in Virginia, there's things going on in Pennsylvania, and then of course, the them being here, which Caitlin's here, the parents haven't yet been brought here, but it'll happen soon. But I'm sure at some point we'll find out what kind of things have been discovered.
And then do you think they'll get prosecuted on top of that as well? Like, not just the murder charges, but those charges as well?
I think if they recover things that belong to Kirby, they'll absolutely be prosecuted for those things as well.
Yeah, good. So you said that his or her parents are still, they haven't come back to Mississippi. Any timeline on when that's going to happen?
We're not sure. I know that they did waive extradition, and it's my understanding that we are just waiting on law enforcement investigators here to send for them. I don't think that they're in a super big rush right now to get them here. But it's my understanding that we're waiting to get them here. And once they get them here and are able to, they were never questioned about anything. The parents weren't. And of course, when Caitlin was going to be officially formally questioned, she showed up with an attorney and wouldn't talk. So once they all get here, I'm interested, and I'm sure everyone's interested to find out, if they're going to talk, what they're going to say, if anybody's going to turn on anybody, are they going to tell us the truth? So I think there will be a lot more to talk about once they've had that opportunity to interview all of them.
Yeah, for sure. So let's go back because I know that, I've read some articles that your mom said, kind of what you said. We sort of knew all along that it was her. And you sort of had that feeling. I mean, I think from that very first video where you were showing like how in the hell could she have made this jump down this sort of, there was like a hill that she would have had to jump down and then jump, that. Why do you think she did it and her parents did it? Allegedly, if they allegedly did it.
I honestly think my thought process is that, her dad came here when they got here in July and they decided to stay a couple weeks. I think that her dad saw Kirby's land and his assets and his gold and silver and saw how successful he was. And I think just knowing his history, he's going back to, what was it, 1999 when he stole the big deer from the other neighbor's deer farm, states away or miles away or whatever. I think that it's kind of the same thing. I think that he came in, he saw what Kirby had, and he wanted it. And I don't know which of the three of them was the mastermind of the plan. I feel like it was probably Dad. But at any point, any one of the three of those could have stopped it.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, when they were together during those 4 months, I know that, first of all, that was another one of the red flags that we talked about last time was that like they were there for 4 months and then they left like what, 2 or 3 days before Kirby went missing.
The night before Kirby was killed.
Yeah, which we know now did not happen. I don't think we ever thought that that did happen. When, and I know that you had seen them together, was there any like weird red flags or anything that like was put off about how they sort of interacted, how the dad in particular was, or anything that you were like, this guy's like was you were put off by?
Well, when we first met them, he was actually very welcoming. I guess you could kind of say anytime we went to Kirby's at the point where her parents were here, he kind of acted more of a host. Of course, Kirby to us, we're just family, but he was very welcoming, very kind, maybe overly kind. But I will say that, and it was actually my husband was the first one who said something to me about it, but after Enola was born, um, when we were going to visit down there, the very first time that my husband went to visit Enola, because he didn't go to the hospital when she was born, me, my mom, my daughter, some of us went, but he didn't go. And the first time he went after Enola was born, um, as we left, I remember him saying, I just don't like the way Jeff stood over her like that, like he was some kind of soldier or something, didn't want us touching her. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, he just seemed so overly protective of her, like he didn't want any of us picking her up. You know what I mean? We're her aunt and uncle,
Right. Right.
Um, and, Kirby had actually made comments to us before about, I just don't think I could trust her dad. And there was never any specific reason why. And we just thought, he's just being paranoid. He's just being paranoid about him being here. And of course, we kick ourselves every day for not digging into those feelings because Kirby always had really good intuition. He always did. And looking back and thinking about the conversations that we had with him and then the conversations that we had with him about her parents just aren't leaving, I'm ready for them to go, no house is big enough for two families, things like that he had said. I wish that we had all kind of pressed him and maybe looked into the dad because, of course, as soon as we started researching the dad after Kirby's death, I mean, it was boom, boom, boom. Here's all this horrible stuff from the past that we knew nothing about while he was in our presence.
Right.
And I'm sure Kirby knew nothing about, or he wouldn't have had him living in the house with him.
Right. Right. But he never, so did Kirby ever, because there were those weird sort of wills that were left, right? You want to sort of explain that for the people who maybe don't know what those are
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. So, the day that Kate and her parents left Mississippi, it was, I think, the 20th of December. It was 3 days after the funeral. Um, my mother was actually there as they left. And when they got out of the driveway, mom went in the house and she was just going to look in the dresser where Kate had her things to see if she took it all, to kind of judge, well, is she planning on coming back or not? And when she opened the drawers, all of Kate's clothes were gone. She had taken all of her things, but when she opened the drawers, there was a handwritten will that Jeff had written and a handwritten will that Kate had written. And we still don't really know what the purpose of those were. I don't know if they expected maybe that something was going to happen. Law enforcement they would be found out before they could get out of there, and they left those wills. We still don't know what the purpose of those were. But yeah, that's still a very strange thing. And hopefully when these investigators talk to them, they can get us some answers for all of the crazy stuff. I don't expect them to tell the truth about anything. I feel like they've had a year to conspire and, well, we'll say this or let's say this, or, if we get arrested, tell them all this. And I think they'll all stick to their gun. I don't know. I don't know if they'll all stick to their guns or if they'll turn on each other, but I'm anxious to see.
Yeah, I mean, so we don't even know, and that's so kind of going back to that question I was kind of leading towards was, did Kirby have a will as well?
No, he did not have a will with any of his attorneys that we checked with. Nothing that was officially filed anywhere. Kirby had always told me and mom for years and years, even before Kirby became successful. Kirby had always told us that his final wishes would be put somewhere for us, that he didn't want us to worry about what he wanted once he was gone. And as he became successful, he told us several times if anything ever happened to him, that his final wishes would be in Towns' safe. And there was a specific safe in his safe room that we knew everything in there was supposed to be for Towns if something happened to him. And of course, that's actually the day we went to try to find Kirby's final wishes, was the day that we discovered that the safe codes had changed, that the door locks had been changed, and the day we discovered the silver in the trunk of the dad's car. We never found his wishes, and we know for a fact that, I mean, he was too adamant too many times that they would be there if something ever happened to him. So I feel like they were removed, and possibly because he probably wrote those before Enola was born, and probably had not updated those, because that's not something that you generally think of to do quickly, especially in your 30s. And I feel like they probably took it and did away with it.
Yeah, that's really sad. I mean, did he have any, like, did he say anything, or do you feel like he had any premonitions or any weird feelings that something was going to happen? You know how sometimes people say that and they know something is sort of off.
I don't know. I don't remember him saying anything really, like in recent months before his death. But I mean, he always was very, he would talk about, if something ever happens to me, this, or, one of these days when I'm not here, this, but never, not really anything that I can think of that just made us think, that he might have known something was going on, or, that something was going to happen. We actually have found lots of his journals. Kirby was a beautiful writer. And he did it. I knew that he wrote a lot, but he actually wrote so much more than I even knew. We have found so many of his journals just from over the years, things that he's written. If you're able to pull up his Instagram, I don't know if it's where you can, if you're not.
It's private because I tried to tag him and it was private because I wanted, yeah.
There's so many things that he has written that it's just absolutely beautiful, and his outlook on life and death and things like that. I mean, it's just absolutely beautiful. But we found a journal, and I actually shared it on the Justice for Kirby page the day that they arrested the Spences. He had written something, and we don't know when it was written. We don't know what was going on when it was written. But when we read it, it seemed like it was written just for that day. And if you go back on the Justice page, you can look at that. And it just, it was almost like a message from the grave. It gives me chills just thinking about it.
Gosh, you guys go check that out. It's Justice for Kirby. There's a great Facebook page for that. Someone brought up in the comments the fire in Pennsylvania. Has that been talked about or brought up at all since they were arrested? Is that gonna, because that's what I think Sarah brought it up, that maybe they got rid of important documents in that fire too. That's a really valid point.
It's very possible. We don't really know. We don't really know what was behind that. It was in Virginia, is actually where it happened.
Oh, Virginia. Okay, great. Yes.
We're living at the home in Saltville, which is where we were told that they lived before Kirby, before they came down here. That's where they told us they lived, was in Saltville. And like any cards that they had sent to Kirby or Kate that was left at Kirby's house, that's the address that was on them. That's the address that we were sending monthly child support checks to. And of course, whenever we requested the welfare check, they went out to check on the baby and there was no home there. It was burned down. That's not been discussed by any of the investigators here, but I know that it is being investigated in the state of Virginia. So I haven't heard any kind of outcome or really anything about it, but I do know that it's an active investigation also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just, it's so bizarre. And I do agree with a lot of what the people, the commenters are saying, that it's got to have something to do with that. Like, that's just way too bizarre that it happened. Any idea on, and maybe it might be too early for this, if the three will be tried together or separately?
I have no idea. I feel like it'll probably be separate. And we don't know if it'll go to trial. It'll, just depend. We have a couple investigators that are telling us that they're pretty confident. They feel like at least one of the three of them will talk. I don't know. We don't really know. We haven't really looked that far ahead into the trial because, like I said, they haven't even been able to question any of them yet. Like, there's been no interrogations or interviews that have occurred yet. So hopefully once that's done, we'll be able to know more.
Yeah, because especially if it's a capital murder case, they may plea out for life, if that may be what they're trying to do instead, which then you guys at least won't have to go through the whole court process. There's like pros and cons for both of that, right? Because you'll never know what really happened, but you won't have to sit through the whole court case. So someone asked, and I don't know how, I don't know, it's kind of how the two of them met, actually. And people were like, we want to know that too. How?
People have had that question. So, Kirby opened a wine and spirit store in Boonville, Mississippi. And where his liquor store, where he opened it, is directly in the parking lot in front of a Tractor Supply Company, and Caitlin worked there. And so he frequented that store, and that's where they met.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, you guys all heard how they met, because I think everybody was like, "Ooh, he's so good looking," and we'll leave it at that. I think you can understand what people are saying. So, she had evil intentions since the beginning. All right, so we've been talking for 45 minutes. There's lots of everybody was like, "Yeah, he's very handsome." That's what I think. They're going to give her a plea deal, but I don't think she'll get out of it. I don't think she'll be able to stay with the baby. I think that they'll give her a plea deal, so she'll get a lesser sentence. But I don't think that. Sorry, go ahead, KAYSI.
That's what I think too. I think that, even if she wasn't the one who pulled the trigger, I think that, this is clearly, and I don't know all the evidence that the investigators have, but I think that it's clearly going to show that it was premeditated, that they all conspired. I think that they all were involved in a cleanup to a degree at the home. I think that there's a lot of things that there will be enough that she'll be in jail for a long time, regardless.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, she waited 2 days to call. I mean, let's be real. Like there were 2 days that between when he went last missing and when she called. She was at that house. She walked by his truck to leave the house. I mean, it's just like there were groceries still in his truck. Like all of that, I mean, come on. Yeah, exactly. Her knowing it for days enough that's a reason for her to be in prison for the rest of her life, to be honest. I saw someone, one of Kirby's friends was on here, and I did say, I don't know, KAYSI, if you know what her name is, but she said, I invited her in as well. I'm not sure what her name was, but if Kirby, I'm sure I don't know what her name is, but if she's in here and she wants to jump in the box, I said towards the end of the interview, as well as your brother, Robbie, as well. I invited both of them if they want to come up in the box. I'm not sure if either of them are still here, but they're more than welcome. Just hit the guest button at the bottom and invite yourself. You're more than welcome. Let me see real quickly if I can find them. MJ, do you know who that is? They have Kirby's picture as a profile.
My mom.
That's you. Oh my God.
Yeah. No, it's my mom.
That's your mom. Okay. I was like, wait, that's not you. I don't know if MJ wants to come up. If your mom wants to come up, she's more than welcome. But that's not who it was. I can invite her and see if she wants to come up. There was someone who was a friend of Kirby's who had been DMing me and saying that they were going to come in, but that's not your mom. That's not who it was, but she's more than welcome to come up, of course. I just invited her. Everybody's saying, yeah, let's see her mom. So come on up, Mom. We're very nice. Everybody wants to see you. I just invited your mom. All right. So let's start asking some questions you guys can start let me go back and ask some of the questions that people have had. The baby right now, Brittany, is with unfortunately, with Caitlin's aunt. Is that in Pennsylvania? Do we know if the baby's still in Pennsylvania at least?
As far as we know, like I said, we don't know anything official, but yes, as far as we know, the aunt and uncle that have custody at this time are from Pennsylvania.
Okay. Next court date, we don't know anything about court, right? We don't know when then the parents are even going to be in from Virginia, right? We don't know anything about that. Mrs. Ruthie, I don't know what that means. Is that your mom? Who said Mrs. Ruthie? Okay. So let's see. I'm just making sure that I know there were so many questions. If you guys want to put your question, what was her connection to Boonville?
Connection to Boonville?
Mm-hmm.
Well, their address was Boonville. That's fairly close to here. But she worked at the TSC in Boonville.
Okay. I've answered a lot of the questions already. Okay. So not fair that they have custody. That's very true. Are those people even good people coming from that family who are watching the baby, Ashley? Is that what I mean, listen, I think we talked about it a little bit before, saying that the baby should be with Kirby's family. Court date next for parents is December 13th, Tina just said. Do you know if that's true?
Well, their initial court hearing was supposed to be on December 13th, and they ended up moving that up into the 5th. So they had a hearing on the 5th. I'm not sure if they're going to have another hearing in Virginia before they're extradited here. I don't really know why they would. Um, it seems like someone did tell me that there was like an administrative type hearing maybe, but that shouldn't be really relevant for any changes or anything. I think the only thing that we're waiting on to have them brought here is for them to arrange it for Mississippi to go get them.
Gotcha. Okay. Did the neighbors notice anything suspicious leading up to Kirby's death or anything afterwards? I remember the U-Haul that I reported on, but go ahead.
Oh, so the neighbors there, I mean, we're a very rural area, especially where they live in Dry Creek. So the neighbors there, you can't even see Kirby's house from the neighbor's house. I mean, they're that far apart. But we did have some neighbors to tell us that they heard a gunshot that night. We had other neighbors tell us that they saw a U-Haul at the home within the next couple nights. But we also had people tell us that they saw a U-Haul at the home the night of the funeral. So we don't know if maybe they were getting the dates mixed up, and we haven't been able to confirm that. We had one lady to tell us that on Friday morning, which was the morning, Kirby's body was found around lunchtime on that Friday, we had someone to tell us that she was taking her children to daycare that morning. And as she passed by his home, that she saw a lady, and the description of the lady sounded like Caitlin, throwing clothes in the air outside of her Suburban in the yard, like that morning early, like probably around 8 or a little before. Other than that, nobody has reported seeing or hearing anything. But like I said, it's a rural area, and so it's not really where you can look out and see your neighbors.
Yeah, that's the U-Haul was what I was what I had heard, but the guy said the police never talked to him, but maybe he has since then. Someone said, can you talk about what was around or on Kirby when he was found?
Um, so really all that they want us to say about that, I say the investigators have asked us to just say that there was a covering of some kind, and then of course the truck toolbox, was propped over him, because that's, they still haven't interviewed the parents, and they haven't officially interviewed Caitlin. Not that they can probably get information where they are now, but just in case, I'm not going to talk about that because it may be.
Was the toolbox on the side of him or on top of him?
So there were actually 4 truck toolboxes, and they were laying like side by side. Kirby was laying next to 2 of them, and then the top one of the other stack was like laying sideways across him, but not flat over him. Like one end of the toolbox was on the stack of on top of the other toolbox, and it was laying across him as if maybe to hold the covering down that they had placed over him.
Yep, gotcha. Were they big toolboxes? Like
toolboxes that go on the back of a truck.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yep. Okay. Gotcha. Um, so yes, Lisa, they definitely premeditated. Definitely, Lisa just asked. When was the last time that anyone from your family communicated with her or anyone from her side of the family?
So, I had to get a new phone, and I think it was in March or April when I got my new phone. And the last communication I had with her was prior to that time. I have lots and lots of messages where I reached out attempting to hear from Enola through Facebook Messenger and text message multiple times since that time, but she never responded. So it's going to be prior to March. March or April is going to be the last time that anyone in our family has heard from her.
So you, for her 1-year birthday, you never even could wish her happy birthday?
No, I sent a text on her birthday, wishing her a happy birthday. I told her that, I'm sure that she's growing and learning, and that we would love to be able to hear from her, maybe see some pictures of her. I told her to please give Enola and KAYSI's love. She never responded. I mean, there's multiple times, especially since her birthday, that I reached out over and over and over again. And I mean, I was just requesting information on Enola. I was not being accusational. In fact, I did not even open the Justice for Kirby Facebook page to the public until after that time. So I don't really know what triggered her to stop communicating with us. At what point she decided she was not going, wasn't going to talk to us or let us hear from Enola. But it's been months and months.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, you were very respectful of her. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, just by the situation, how, people, we could draw our own conclusions. You never said anything about that. I think you were very respectful. What was your relationship like with Caitlin prior to this? Did you look at her as like a sister to be, or?
We loved her. We loved Kate. You know, I actually had conversations with Kirby and told him, she's good for you. She's good to you in towns. He had a conversation with me one time. We were driving down the road, and he said, I just don't know about Kate. And I was like, what do you mean you don't know about her? It's just one of those brother sister conversations. And he was like, I don't know. I just don't know about her. And I was like, Kirby, she's so good to y'all, and I mean, we hung out a lot. Not just she and I, but I mean, my husband, me, my youngest daughter, we were down there, especially during the summertime. They had a pool, and so we took Bristol to swim all the time down there. And then when we weren't down there, we were all either usually here or at my mom's. We all got together and did things, especially the weeks that Kirby would have towns, because towns in Bristol, my little girl, they're extremely close, and so we were close. And I mean, in fact, when when she and Kirby would have arguments at times during their relationship, I was the person she usually reached out to, and I remember specifically one time that they were, not having an argument, so to speak, but they weren't really on the best terms. They weren't communicating a lot with one another. And I remember her, asking me, if things aren't good whenever I have Enola, will you be in the delivery room with me? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I mean, like we thought a lot of Kate, and that's been another thing that's been really hard to swallow with this. It's been difficult for all of us because she's not the person that we all thought she was. And so, I mean, she and I, we were pretty close.
Yeah. How long were they together?
It was over 2 years, but less than three, I think. So maybe like 2.5 years.
And were they engaged?
No.
No, they were just okay. Uh,
He had it pretty, he had been very adamant that he was not going to get married. Like he wasn't going to marry anyone. In fact, I remember somebody asking him one day in front of her, well, when are y'all getting married? He's like, I'm not getting married ever. Like I'm never marrying anybody, So I mean, he was always pretty open about that, and she seemed to be fine with that.
yeah. Did she have siblings, or was she an only child?
So she has a sibling. She has a sister that's younger than her, who is estranged from that family, and apparently probably for good reason.
Mm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. And why do we know why she was in Pennsylvania with her grandmother? Why were her parents they live in Virginia?
Oh, so after the house burned in Virginia, we were told that they were living at an Airbnb. I think that the insurance was paying for them. That's hearsay. I'm not sure if that's certain or not, but they were living in Virginia. Sugar Grove, I think, was the name of the town. And they actually had all been staying there, Caitlin and the baby also. And then it's our understanding that the week of Thanksgiving, Caitlin, Jeff, and the baby went to Pennsylvania to spend the week with Kate's grandmother. And then the following week, which was last week, the week the arrest occurred, Jeff came back to Virginia, but Caitlin and the baby stayed in Pennsylvania. And so that's why they were actually arrested in different states.
Okay. Interesting. And someone asked a good question. Have you spoken at all with the estranged sister?
I have reached out to her. Yeah, out of respect for her, I won't discuss anything that we talked about.
Sure. Understand. Yep, that makes sense. I just lost my train of thought what I was going. Oh, Kirby was known to carry, like you said, he always had like a loaded weapon on him. He had a lot of guns. So is the thought that he was like, because he had just gone grocery shopping, he was completely caught off guard. There was a struggle. Any new information on what you guys believe happened that
We,
night?
I don't think that that has changed since the last time that we spoke. We think that we definitely think that it happened immediately when he returned home. We believe that. I think that there was something off that distracted him, or he just wasn't paying attention, and they took that opportunity, to ambush him. But as we talked about last time, his little 22, whatever the small little 2-shooter pistol that he had, 2 or 3 shooter, it still hasn't been recovered. Like, we still have not found that. Which leads us to all believe that Kirby probably pulled that weapon. I feel like he pulled it out and possibly even shot at or shot someone. It's a big possibility that that could have happened. We don't know.
Right, because her parents were just not there. Like they left allegedly the 2 days before, or 3 days, whatever it was, before he was shot. So they could have very well, the dad or the mom could have been shot. No one would have really known, I guess, right? If they drove back to Virginia or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of what we feel like probably happened, and we just feel like that because we know Kirby. And we know he had that pistol in his pocket. He always had that pistol in his pocket. There were bullets found in his pocket for that pistol, but the pistol was gone. So we just feel like that Kirby pulled that and probably shot at someone or shot someone, and maybe they took it to get rid of it in case there was a shell found from it. Maybe they took it to get rid of it because maybe they were injured and they didn't want anybody to be able to link that to them, or maybe they just took it to get rid of it. We don't know, but that gun still hasn't been recovered, and he always had that gun on him, always.
And the gun that he was shot with, has that been recovered?
We don't know what he was shot with. I mean, we know that it was a shotgun or a gun that shoots a shotgun type shell, but to my knowledge, it hasn't. We haven't been told if it has been.
That's interesting. A lot of questions about, and I know we talked about this on our last interview, but lots of questions about cameras in the area at Kirby's house. Explain to us what happened to the cameras that were at Kirby's house.
So he had a Link camera system, security system, and anybody that's familiar with that, and I'm sure all of the other ones work the same way, but it has a sync box that you have to keep plugged in your home, and it's basically what makes the cameras function properly. The sync box was missing from inside the home immediately following him being found, and so the cameras were not working at the time of his death.
And no, I know you said it was very rural, but did any neighbors, like the guy who maybe saw the U-Haul or where the gunshot was possibly picked up, did they have cameras that were checked?
No, there's a fire department that's really close to Kirby's house. I would say probably about a mile down the road, something like that. And they did check those cameras. There was not anything beneficial, I don't think, found, but they did look through the cameras to see the vehicles that came through, and that's actually one of the ways that they know for sure what time Kirby came home.
Oh, gotcha. Someone asked if there was, if anyone checked Kirby's hands for residual gunpowder residual.
Not that I'm aware of. In the autopsy report, it says that he was received to the crime lab. His hands weren't bagged. I don't recall there being anything in there about there being gunshot residue on his hands. I don't know if they were tested for it or not, but it didn't say anything about there being gunshot residue on his hands in the autopsy report.
Another good question. Have they done a digital check on his phone?
They've checked all kinds of stuff on the phones. We haven't gotten the final report on all of that, but I do know that that's something that they were looking at on basically all of their phones.
Yeah. So you guys, a lot of people are asking questions. All of the videos that I have done on Kirby I have a playlist up in the top of my videos, up at the top of my page. This full interview will be on my YouTube, which is 716 Girl in ATL, same name. I think last time you you maybe even posted a link on on your Facebook group as well, KAYSI. We are over an hour, which I do like to keep these to an hour because I so appreciate you doing this, KAYSI. So let's wrap up. If there's any like last minute questions that anybody really would like to know, we don't know next steps, right? Obviously, the important things that I think everybody really wants to know is the baby, when we might get her, and that's something that you're aggressively you're working on that right now. Is there a chance that you could have her here for the holidays?
We hope so.
That will be great. Will you let us know as soon as you know?
Absolutely.
Oh, there's Maddie Jones. Maddie is the one who said, Maddie, if you want to come up and say, is that someone you know, Maddie Jones?
Mom. That's our mom.
Again, Maddie, I invited you, Maddie, if you want to come up. Everybody's been asking for Mama. I just sent you an invite. She what?
I said she may not know how to do it.
Oh, all you got to do is accept the little invite I just sent you. It should just say accept and you can come up. That's who I was talking to. Was saying that she might. I think that's who it was. I don't know. Let me make sure that there are no other. Who has the baby? Yeah, we've answered. That is unfortunately with her aunt and uncle. So you'll update us as soon as you know who has the baby. That's like the biggest. Everybody wants to know that. Hopefully we're praying that you do have the baby, that you have her back by the holidays. You guys, are there any last minute questions for KAYSI? We really appreciate you doing this, KAYSI. Everybody says they're praying for you guys every night. You have a lot of prayer warriors out there, I'll tell you that much. Lots and lots of prayers.
Appreciate it so much. Like I said earlier, I've all along said that I have faith that this will be solved. And, it's taken a lot of faith. It's hard to hear everybody in the community, initially, it's Tippah County. It's not, they'll never know who killed your brother, and it's so discouraging. And every time that was said to me or my mom, our response was, it's going to be solved. It's going to be solved because we're going to sit here and let it not be. And we've had to have, lots of people backing us, and the community here has been wonderful, but even the community that we have gained through Facebook and through social media, it has been amazing. The people that have reached out to us from all over the country, all over the world. Just the little messages that they send, you're in my prayers, and other people that have reached out to my mom and, my son was murdered too, or this happened to me. And if there's anything that I can do to help you, let us know, just those things to let us know that people are thinking about us, and that, Kirby's death, brought us a lot of people into our life that truly want justice for him, just like we do.
Absolutely. 2 more quick questions. Someone asked anything about draining the pond. I'm not sure.
So we did not drain the pond. That has not been done, and that is something that still could possibly be done. A lot of people look at the arrest as, the investigation's over, and actually the arrest, basically the investigation, that hard parts of it are just beginning, because they're going to have interviews to do. They still have other things to follow up on that they haven't had a chance to follow up on, while they were working on the things that they have found. I wouldn't be surprised if, they don't end up, they may talk to people, and there may be other people implicated in this. We don't know. But the pond hasn't been drained at this point.
What can everybody, lots and lots of prayers, Kirby and the rest of our family is so proud of you. Your determination and strength are inspiring. Let's bring Enola home, sending love and prayers to the family. Lots of love and prayers, lots and lots and love. I love you, KAYSI. Love you. Like, so much love for you. Just want you to know that. Hope you get the baby for Christmas. We're proud of KAYSI, Maddie, Wendy, and the rest of the family. We love you. Praying that you get Kirby's baby home soon. We're standing behind you. KAYSI is the movement. Her love and determination is amazing. Justice for Kirby. You're doing an amazing job. If she needs anything at all, let us know. So much love. Love you, KAYSI. So proud of you. We will get justice. So that's the last question. What can we do? Is there a GoFundMe to help with legal fees, to help with Enola? Is there a petition? Can we just keep sharing and telling the story? We want to help. We want to help you. You have all of us in your corner. What can we do?
We haven't done a GoFundMe or anything like that. And, if it comes to the point to where that's necessary, that's something that we could look into then. But, everybody just supporting us and letting us know that they're fighting behind us and right alongside of us has been wonderful. And I also want to say, like, I'm not Kirby's only sibling.
Right.
A lot of people have told me, they're like, it must be hard being his only sibling. I'm like, wait a second, there's a lot of us. So Kirby and I have an older sister, Wendy, and me and Kirby, we all share the same mom. And then Kirby has three brothers, Bo, Rocky, and Robbie, that all share the same dad with him. And, they all want justice too. It's just, I think I've been a little more vocal, and I don't mind being the squeaky wheel.
I've been talking to Robbie a little bit behind the scenes too. I did invite him to come as well. Anybody in your entire family is always more than welcome. Anytime you guys want to talk, any updates, just to share anything, just to talk about Kirby, to make sure that the story is still out there. You guys have an open platform anytime. And seriously, if there's anything, I'm in Atlanta. I'm not that far. So if anything big is coming up, KAYSI, let's talk about me coming down there. I would love to come down there and first I want to meet you guys and give you guys a hug. And then I just want to cover it, because I feel like, I don't know, my followers are really invested in this, and obviously I am as well. So let's talk about that. If there's something that would make sense for me to come down there for, I would love to. Wendy's saying that you could do a better job than she ever could. So I don't know about that, Wendy. Maybe you need to come up and we can see. So KAYSI, thank you so much for doing this. Seriously, all of our love. You have all of our love and support. I know it's a tough time with the holidays, but I really feel like Enola is going to be back with you guys for the holidays. That's what we're all praying. Anything at all that we can do, seriously, you let me know. I'll bring it to whatever. I'm not even kidding, you or any of your family members at all. You have a large group of people who are there for you guys at any time. And we're not just saying that. I'm not just saying that. I really mean that. So lots of prayers, lots of love, and whatever we can do, just let us know.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you, KAYSI. Thank you guys for watching, and happy holidays. And, justice for Kirby. We're going to continue this story, you guys. And thank you to everybody who is watching as well. This will be on my YouTube, the whole interview. So if you guys missed any of it, it will be on there. So have a great night, everybody.
Good night.